On. All right, cool. So we are live. Sorry for the little hiccup. That's because I'm running this on a laptop up in the attic, basically. Anyways, it's not like anybody's chomping on the bit asking
That's all
where we
good.
are. So, Alex, thank you very much for joining me today. Segment we have, I don't know if you've listened to any of these yet, and we don't have any new episodes up, but what we do here is, in order to keep the episodes from being dated and let us get right into it faster, we're now removing the small news and gaming updates we've had and putting in these irregular live streams,
which I think is a good call.
I think. Yeah, this is basically, and let me make sure. Yeah, still nobody. This is basically a soft open for 2019 is going to be the big year I push on this.
Yeah.
So, anyways, while I get this posted to our socials adequately, why don't you tell me what game stuff you've been playing, be it streaming or otherwise?
Okay. Well, as you may or may not know, I recently played through probably about 90 to 95% of Tesla Grad on stream.
I am mildly aware.
Which you might be slightly aware of. It was a fun time, and I still intend to finish it. Ran out of time during the final boss fight, but I think I at least get at least the first 2/3 of it. If I had to guess, it's probably one of those boss fights where there's a little bit more than what I've seen, but so far so good. But the game itself was very nice. We were just kind of casually chatting before the stream went live, where I feel like the game does a great job for its platforming sections, at least, for being just challenging enough to be interesting, but nothing where it's like a hard wall where you're just like, gosh, I've been banging my head against this thing for hours. I'm just not figuring it out, having to, chump out and look it up online. I never had any real major, like there were some parts where I was goofing on it, but there were no major parts where I was like completely stumped, I felt, which is, I think, the right difficulty to try to appeal to. And when it comes to puzzle platforming, I think it's hard to do because you either make it too easy or make it too difficult very easily. Like, it's easy to fall into either extreme.
What did you think of how they conveyed the plot in that game?
I thought that was fantastic. You warned me, well, not warned me, but you advised me ahead of time that there was a lot of nonverbal stuff where it was good to be aware of the surroundings and good to take in the background details, not just because they look pretty, but also because they conveyed what was going on behind the scenes. And I think it was done excellently. It didn't take much prompting to note those kinds of sections where, oh, this thing that was in the background, or the colored robe that person was wearing, or the item that was in the painting that this person was holding. These were all significant, and I think they were done tastefully without banging you over the head with it.
And I am glad you noted some things that I thought some people may have just completely glossed over. Like, you did note as the background things were starting to show more of the conflict, you're like, oh, hey, there's a lot more bodies here.
Yes.
And as they would introduce items to you, you wouldn't have to question too much, because I personally thought the way they introduced the items, they had like you can't fail situation where it's like, hey, here's the thing, you can't die, but you have to use your item to get past it.
It's like not exactly a tutorial, but like a built-in, like, here's, prove to us you can use this darn thing before we let you continue into the wild.
Now, what did you think about the boss difficulty compared to the puzzle platform difficulty?
The first two were significant, and the final 2 to 3 bosses, I would say 2 bosses, were gigantic spikes, and I didn't mind it too much. I don't mind the tricky, difficult bosses. I know that some folks probably would mind that kind of thing, where it is such a stark contrast where, like I was saying, the platforming sections were never unreasonable, and I don't think the bosses are unreasonable either, but they are, there's no way you can beat any of these bosses on your first try. There's just no way, because it's a one-hit shot. You hit once and you got to restart the whole fight over, and I mean the whole fight over. And some of them have multiple phases, so
I'll say that 4th boss was a rough time.
It was. I don't think it was unreasonable, and it's about what I had expected as a second to last boss, based on what the first couple bosses were. That first boss took me at least 10 tries. Now that I know all the strats on how to deal with him, I feel a little bit more confident now. But the first couple of times I was like, ooh, baby, I got to pull up my britches for this bad boy. This guy doesn't mess around.
This is spicy.
It was indeed a spicy meatball, as they say. So it was, and I don't know, I kind of go back and forth, but I think overall it was not unreasonable, but it was definitely a the game kind of showing its fangs a little bit. Like, all right, no, the platforming sections are pretty good, but right now here's where you gotta get good, as the kids call it.
Get good.
Yeah.
So did this actually incentivize you to look up more about Rain games after this?
I haven't yet, and it's probably because I haven't beaten this game yet,
Mhm.
but it's definitely on my mind. There were a number of times where I thought to myself, like, if this is their style of storytelling or their style of like artistic direction, then I mean, I'm digging it, and I definitely do want to know more about these guys.
I am interested to see if you do look into World to the West, what you think, compare and contrast of the two,
Yeah.
because the story delivery is entirely different. And
Yes.
one thing that is interesting is the first game, collecting everything gets you the real ending. And the interview with this guy is going up on Monday now. I could put it up this weekend, but it's going to get no foot traffic if I put it up during the weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it up on Monday, cite technical difficulties, and then I'm actually going to spend a handful of bucks promoting it, because
Cool.
this one is supposed to actually get some traction.
It's a big one. Yeah, it's worth it.
But in the first game, I thought they incentivized the trophies very well by having them only be the scrolls.
Right.
And you don't have to do anything beyond that to get the final ending. But in the second game, you don't need to collect all the scrolls there is only one ending.
Yeah, I got
So anyways, that's really interesting. But what else you been playing?
Well, prior to that, I had also played through a little indie game called Strafe, having an itch for a while to play some old school, like, well, at least old school inspired shooters to some degree, something along the lines of Quake or Doom, along the OG first person shooters. And this scratched that itch and then some. It was fantastic. So for those who don't know, Strafe is it's a roguelike inspired kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's like it's Quake types of gameplay with roguelike elements built in, where the level layouts are procedurally generated, the enemies you encounter, the weapons you pick up, the power-ups, all that kind of stuff. And of course, permadeath, so if you die, that's it, you got to start over again. But it was fantastic. I played it for probably about 30, maybe 40 hours total.
Dang.
And really enjoyed the heck out of it. And of course, it's a roguelike in the sense where no two playthroughs are the same. But I think I've at least played enough where I'm satisfied, which is a little bit different. I feel like a lot of roguelikes, you could just keep chomping away and it's always something new. But with Strafe, I feel like after a certain point, I learned enough about what to expect from a level layout and how the enemies behave, where I was beating it every time I picked up to play it. Whereas something like Spelunky, maybe it's because I'm bad at the game, but I can't beat the game maybe 10% of the time.
Did we already talk Spelunky 2 on here?
Spelunky 2, not that I'm aware.
It would only be with you.
Okay, no, it's something I've not talked about, and it's pretty recent.
It's very recent. I didn't mean to derail
No,
you.
Spelunky 2 is worth derailing. I will welcome this wholeheartedly.
Did you see they showed gameplay footage?
They did, and I popped the heck off, dude. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped, dude. It's the hype is real. So I tried the first Spelunky. That was at a point where I'm like, I can't have another one of these kind of games in my life. Yeah. Was it the freeware Windows version, or was it the Xbox 360 PS? Okay, yeah.
It looked beautiful. It played well, but I'm like, I can't do another one of these right now.
Fair.
Like I have too many going on. And I heard that the second one is improving on anything the first one needed improved, but not breaking the old formula,
which is perfect.
So you're all in on
dude,
this.
I'm going all in, baby. I'm ready for it. Yeah. The fact that they have online multiplayer is nice, online co-op multiplayer, and probably also deathmatch.
Yeah.
I saw that they were tweaking some of the like particle physics for things like liquids and water and magma and all that junk. That looks cool. Of course, new enemy types, new biomes, new ending things. It seemed like they wanted to do something different with the level layouts, where I didn't quite get the full breadth of the details, and maybe they haven't really announced a whole lot about it, but something along the lines of they wanted to make it less go through the caves, then the jungle, then the ice caves, then the ending. Like they wanted it to be more dynamic as you played through it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounded like they wanted to mix it up on what kinds of varieties within each biome you would experience as you're playing through it. There was a interview with Derek Yu, who is the guy behind Spelunky as we know it, pretty much he pretty much is Mr. Spelunky, and he was talking about just what Josh had mentioned, where they definitely wanted to do new stuff, but also not break what is not broken.
Yeah,
so to speak.
It's a good strategy.
It is.
Let's see. Did you want to talk about any other game stuff you played or any other little news that jumped out? PAX West just wrapped up.
Yes.
So I didn't know if any news came out of that you were interested in.
I'll confess I really haven't tuned back into a lot of the PAX West announcement things. I know that there were some that I've seen, but nothing jumps to mind immediately.
The big one was the Spelunky 2 for you, I believe. I think that.
Oh, I didn't realize it was at PAX. Okay. I saw it was announced. I didn't connect it to PAX though.
Let's see. So anything else from you, though?
The only other two big things that have been on my radar recently is that I did finally jump on the bandwagon and play No Man's Sky for a good bit, which I did enjoy a bunch.
I saw that you were streaming that.
Yeah.
It's essentially people have asked, they're like, well, do you think this game's worth getting on now? It's like, this is basically either you consider the first one a beta or this a sequel. Like, you can't consider them the same game.
That's a very accurate point. I feel like if I would have played it when it first came out, I would have been disappointed, but I didn't. I didn't play it until just, a few weeks ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. A number of people have pointed out it's not quite there yet. There's still more things that they want to add on, and I say more power to them. But for now, it was, I bought, I'll confess I bought it at half price. I bought when it was on sale on Steam, and I feel like I've gotten my money's worth, and I still want to keep playing it. So I'm digging it. It's not for everybody, but
editor of the show, Mike, and sometimes contributor, he pre-ordered No Man's Sky, and I warned everybody before it came out. I'm like, don't pre-order this. They have made so many promises. They cannot possibly. I'm getting Fable 1 Molyneux flashbacks here. Like, there's no way they can deliver on this. And then
dark times.
Oh my God. And it came out, and what was it? Not even 2 months after No Man's Sky came out, there was that tweet that got deleted. No Man's Sky was a mistake. And they're like, oh, we got hacked. No. And then it came out, it was the guy who created the game.
Oof.
Like, they got savaged, but they didn't bail.
They did not.
They kept, and at this point, it is a game worth playing.
It is. For you raised a good point. They could have just taken the money and run. They could have just cut their losses. And a lot of people are saying maybe they just should have, because honestly, it's an incredibly ambitious venture that they've embarked on. But here we are 2 years later, and it's working out for them well, I'd say.
I do have to speak to one thing. And I'll have an example for this. They definitely created the bones of a serviceable game, because I know there was a game, Five Nights at Freddy's World, I believe. That was, this game came out years ago at this point, and it was an RPG by Scott Cawthorn that he wanted to capitalize on the success and make more of an RPG type game. And it came out to abysmal review. As much as he hit the sweet spot with the jump scare simulator, he did not refine it well enough for an RPG.
Yeah.
Like, bad design examples, like tutorials being included in the README files, just stuff you did on Nintendo because you had to do.
I see.
And even on Nintendo, games were designed so you incrementally learn things.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he put out a ton of free updates and gave everybody their money back. Like,
whoa.
Yeah, he acknowledged what happened. And if No Man's Sky had been so bad, they couldn't even salvage it that way. So there had to be something there.
Yeah.
It just really needed to be built on.
Yeah.
So I'll give them some degree of retro credit.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people pointed out, like, they were looking to do things from a technology standpoint that had never been done before. All these procedurally generated things, to the point of, like when you look at the installation file or size for No Man's Sky, it's not a large game to install. And it's also not a very demanding game from a hardware perspective. Yet, you've seen the screenshots. It's a very pretty game, and it's a very complex game. The fact that they did so much without blowing up their own hardware spec requirements, like, they really did go above me, like, beyond the Call of Duty from a technology standpoint. That, on top of all these other ambitious things you'd mentioned that they were trying to do, there's no conceivable way such a small team could do all that. But what they did accomplish is, I think, pretty dang impressive when you take the hype out of the equation.
I think if we were able to revisionist history this, if only No Man's Sky Next would have been I think if that would have been released, and they would have,
Yeah.
I think they'd be in a much better position that if they're like, we're going to make No Man's Sky 2,
Yeah.
people would be like, oh, I'm excited. And people wouldn't go, I'm waiting for No Man's Sky 2 next.
Yeah, if they would have made next the 1.0 release
Yeah.
and made the 1.0 like some kind of beta thing, yeah.
Which
yeah.
I know that they kind of got too on board their own hype train.
Big time.
Like Dead Cells was in early access for years before it came out.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky should have just stayed in early access.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not a fan of early access, but it's there for a reason.
It would have worked for their situation. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree.
So, but you said there were 2 things. No Man's Sky was one.
Yeah. Oh, and the other quick thing is that I started Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd never played any of those games in the series. So 20 years later, I'm finally getting on the bandwagon.
And not to tell your story for you, but you got up to the first time you really encountered Sniper Wolf.
Yes, yeah, I got up to the part where you don't actually see Sniper Wolf, but her presence is felt.
Because this is a 20-year-old game, we'll go ahead and say it's
Yeah.
where Meryl's used as bait,
Yes,
isn't it?
that is exactly it. Yeah, and it dawned on me. And also there were some people in chat that were saying, "Yeah, you don't have a sniper rifle, bro. You gotta go back." So I was like, "Oh snap! All right, let's do it."
When I was in middle school playing that the first time,
Yeah.
I'm like, sniper rifle's way back there. What am I supposed to do? So you're going to be unpleasantly surprised when you come back with the sniper rifle.
Yeah, the knee-jerk reaction when you see Meryl gets hit, and you're like, "Oh crap, stuff's getting real." My knee-jerk reaction was, like, you can see her health bar at the top. You're like, oh, well, she's gonna bleed out, so I gotta, do something immediately. And people are like, oh, you gotta get a sniper rifle. That's like 30 minutes away. It's like, homeboy, that's not how human bodies work. So something's gotta give. So of course, I'm gonna play it out, but we'll see what happens. I've not seen this game really at all.
That's why I'm not going to speak past this part for you. But I believe at least on the PS1 version, you could play some degree of New Game Plus.
Yes.
So you can get to that part with the sniper rifle already in hand and counter play out way weirder.
I would assume that, which says something about Metal Gear Solid. If it makes it even weirder, that's impressive.
Wait, I won't spoil that.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, there have been trappings of weirdness already. I've seen a decent bit of Metal Gear Solid 2 from like seeing friends play it, but I mean, I know that the series. It's not so much that it goes off the rails. It's just that there really aren't any rails when it comes to that series.
I would 100% say it goes off the rails. Wait, no, you said there are no rails.
It's no rails at all.
Cool.
Woo! Yeah.
Maybe one day you'll get up to MGS5.
One can only. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a series I've always admired, and I've wanted to get into it. So a better time than 20 years later.
Hey, we have a 3-part podcast series on it. Yeah.
Woo. It's a lot to do. A lot of game.
A lot to game. All right. Well, if you're good,
I'm good. Baby.
The first thing, we were supposed to have a Nintendo Direct on Wednesday, I believe, but it got delayed due to a earthquake in Japan.
Yes, a bad one.
A really bad one. And I hope everything works out for those people, but it resulted in, because they always try to time those Nintendo Directs right before a bunch of announcements. So I feel like everybody else had the announcements already lined up because we had things like a Mega Man 11 demo come out.
I actually didn't know that. That's awesome.
It's interesting. I had a bad first experience. I think something was going weird with my controller, so I thought it was controlling worse than it was.
Yeah.
Additional plays have showed that it's controlling fine. I'm also just not great.
I know that feel.
They introduced a new mechanic, the dual gear mechanic. One lets you slow down time. The other does 2 shots instead of 1. It has like a bar that fills up when you're using the gears.
Yeah.
I basically got to relearn how to Mega Man. That's rough. But past that, I'm trying to think. Oh, another announcement. FF15 Pocket Edition HD came out on PS4 and Xbox One with a Switch release soon. So FF15 for mobile, basically, because Square goes, we need to get every dollar out of this game we can.
So if they're releasing the Pocket Edition on console,
HD. I have no idea. I have no desire to play it.
Right.
I just know it's out.
You understand my befuddlement where we have the game, then we have the mobile version, then an HD version of the mobile version back on the console. You know where the question marks are popping out of my head for.
If they can, and having talked to a few semi-big time developers at this point, I think it's just an ROI calculation.
Okay.
If it takes them let's say $1 million, I'm pulling this number out of my butt. If it takes them $1 million to get it from the mobile re-rendered for a console, and they're confident based on the attach rate of the main game and the whales they see who are buying a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
If they can get a $5 million return on it, that's a $4 million net. So
can't blame them. Yeah.
That's just dev math as far as I know.
People like to, by people I mean people who play games, gamers like to
spend money.
Well, yes, but they also like to, rag on game developers and more importantly publishers for like, oh, it's a money grab, where it's like, dude, homeboy, these guys got to pay the bills, so can you really blame them? I'm just saying. I
remember when Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, I can't believe it's going to be on Xbox. This has always been a PlayStation thing. First, no. Second, Square Enix came out and said it takes an extra it takes a nominal amount of budget to port it on the current architectures.
Yeah.
And we get a 40% increase in sales every time we've done this.
Why not port every game ever?
Right.
It's awesome.
We're here for the dollars. I'm sorry that you guys have this console fighting, but
like this gatekeeping thing.
But after it's like, it's always been a Sony thing. No, because even the second actual Kingdom Hearts game came out on Game Boy Advance.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Like it's wrong from the get-go. Yeah. Because it's been on cell phones, DS, 3DS, PSP.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't go on Vita because nothing was on Vita.
But you couldn't see if it adjusted the finger guns.
Yeah, you can.
That's right. Webcam, right? Yeah.
Pow pow. That's why I keep facing this way. By the way.
Right.
Anyways, yeah, it's been on pretty much every console under the sun.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they also announced Civilization 6 was coming to the Switch in November, I think. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was obviously a missed announcement. I'm not seeing much. There's this game called Blood Roots I keep seeing trailers for because of PAX.
Yeah.
It was described to me as Hotline Miami meets something. It doesn't play like that, though.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Oh, Spider-Man came out.
Oh, Spider-Man, yes.
Yeah. Oh, you were talking about that on your Tesla grad stream.
Yeah.
I can't be excited.
It looks cool. If I played more Spider-Man games, I'd be hyped. The only one I played was the one on the N64 and PS1, which was a great game, but I'm too far out of the loop.
I played the Ultimate Spider-Man one on PS2, and that was enjoyable enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm, like you said, not a Spider-Man fan.
Yeah. Most of the people that I know that are hyped for it are either big into Spider-Man as a superhero or big on the Spider-Man games specifically. Yeah, but it does. I mean, it looks cool. The trailer looks sick. I mean, it could make a fan out of, like, if I were to play it, I bet I'd be like, yeah, this game's sick. So
I've heard it basically looks like Batman Arkham Asylum Spider-Man edition, which I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, dude, we need more of that. I'm fine. I'm down.
The last thing from PAX that jumped out at me was we saw more gameplay footage of The Quiet Man. Did you see this and talked about at E3 at all?
I don't think I did.
So, how I'm going to compare it, I may have talked to you about the game Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Did I talk to you about that at all?
I'll confess it does not ring a bell.
So that game is a harrowing experience. It's developed by Ninja Theory.
Okay.
Not the Ninja Gaiden people.
Right.
Not Team Ninja,
yeah,
Ninja Theory.
Different Ninja.
And it is about a 8th century Celt woman. All of her Vikings killed her.
That one. Okay.
Yes. And that's the one where you're plagued by a curse.
Right.
Except it's not a curse. It's actually you're suffering from a severe form of psychosis.
Yes, I did hear about this one.
I beat that game recently. Ninja Theory, in addition to saying that this was their attempt to try and show, like try to actually put psychosis in a way that could be understood by people who don't have it.
Right.
It was their attempt to basically do an indie game as a non-indie studio.
Oh.
So a more innovative approach to how typically games are done. There's no heads-up display. There's no tutorials.
Ooh.
Like, so if you're in a fight, because you're cursed, these little voices will tell you.
Right.
And first off, if you ever play this game, play it with headphones.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
I remember, I don't know if it was you that was telling me about it, but this does sound familiar.
How it's recorded with 2 microphones, so
Yes.
you basically 3D sounds.
Yeah.
So you'll hear voices going like, behind you, look behind you, behind you.
And you're like,
And
oh, jeez.
oh my God.
Oh,
It's so
Yeah.
intense. Anyways, The Quiet Man looks like Square's attempt to do their own AA game.
Okay.
Their own big studio independent. And it doesn't seem like it's panning out well for them.
Really?
Because you play as a deaf gang enforcer. It's supposed to be like a 3-hour-long game.
Okay.
That's 10% brawler, 90% cinematic.
Wow.
You're supposed to be experiencing the game as the protagonist, which is to say you can't hear the music and you can't really actually hear people's voices because he's deaf.
Right.
But there's no subtitles either, which makes it functionally wrong because you're not really experiencing him because he can understand what other people are. He can read lips and such.
Because he's lived that way, right?
Right. And that's where Hellblade succeeded because it actually, the game changed depending on her perceptions of things.
Right.
One thing, this isn't what I would consider a spoiler per se, but early in the game, I ran into these puzzles called rune doors.
Yeah.
And the idea is you can't open this magic door unless you find these runes just out and about.
Right.
And about 80% through the game, the voices, there's a real heavy theme of is it magic or is it mundane?
Right.
About 80% through the game, the voices start going, why are you looking for the runes? There's nothing there. You see these runes everywhere. It's not even real. It's all in your head. I'm like, stop.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. It's
well,
heavy.
like I couldn't play the game in big bursts.
No,
I'd get
definitely
through
not.
like an hour of it and be like, no.
I'm done. Tapping out.
And there's actually just last big thing for that game. The motion capture person for it, she voice.
Okay.
She was supposed to be the stand-in. The guy's like,
just let her do the thing,
and
man.
they're like, yeah, no, she's killing it.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Anyways, The Quiet Man does not look like it. It looks like if Hellblade had not done well. Like
That's fair.
We'll see. We'll see. We're coming up on 30 minutes, which this isn't a time box thing by any means, but I try not to let it run too long.
Right.
The little things I've been playing is, I believe, I'm not sure if I brought it up on the last one of these, but I finished up the first DLC for Assassin's Creed Origins, which served as a good epilogue to the game. And then I also finished up the second DLC, which went to a weird place because the Assassin's Creed series has never dealt in the mystical. They've always dealt in like weird proto-science.
Yeah.
They set this in the second game, which at this point was 10-ish years ago.
It's hard to believe it's been that long.
Oh,
my
it's
goodness.
crazy. So there's this whole race of like precursors who use technology to design people, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the second you go to Thebes and they're like, pharaohs have come back from the dead and are terrorizing people. And your main character is like, nope, it's all crazy technology stuff.
Yeah.
Except they never really proved that.
Right.
Like he's like, nope, crazy technology. I know I'm in these 4 different afterlives, but nope, it's all an illusion. It doesn't feel like it. It felt kind of like in Assassin's Creed 3, there was a side story called The Tyranny of King George, where one of the pieces of technology created a whole like Matrix thing where you and George Washington were stuck in an alternate reality where George Washington got a piece of technology and became a tyrant.
Right. So I think I've heard about that.
That was rad.
Yeah.
This, it seemed like they were trying to do that, but didn't want to lean all the way in.
Fair. Yeah.
So it was okay. I'm not going to say it was bad, but it was okay.
Yeah.
And with completing that, I get to go back to La Mulana 2.
Oh. I haven't even played the first one, so I'm not really.
Unless you are a masochist, I cannot recommend it. It's fun. A review of the second one was spot on. They said, this was a game where you can and will lose multiple hours of progress because you haven't saved in a while. You'll be walking along and the ceiling. Here's a great example. I opened up a door to a next area just this morning. I went in, I read a tablet, and it said to get, I can't remember what it was, the blessing of the heavens, look to the sky at this exact spot. So I'm like, okay, I'll look up. Ceiling crushed me.
Nice.
God, why?
Of course.
That's just the kind of game this is. So a review I read goes, do I rate it a 1 for being one of the most frustrating experiences in my life, or a 10 because they told me going in it would be one of the most frustrating experiences?
So advertising.
I'm not going to rate it. So it's difficult for me to recommend it because the way I'm enjoying playing this, and nobody's going to see this to call me a scrub, so whatever. I pull up a list of objectives, and it's like, go to this area and figure out how to do this thing.
Yes.
But the degree of difficulty in getting these sometimes, like, you will encounter one-eyed statues, and the one-eyed statue will nearby have a inscription that says, you need to learn the words of the sun that can only come from the sky. What that means is you have to go find the sun in the sky mantra, bring it back, say it to that guy, but the sun in the sky mantra might be behind another puzzle, and these might all be in different areas.
Right.
This game is Indiana Jones if Indiana Jones was realistic, because the puzzles are insane, it's spread out everywhere, and he would have died a million times.
Agreed.
So what happened last night, I was starting it back up, and I had frequent contributor to the show, Brent. He was being my co-pilot.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, Brent, what's the next objective? He's like, go here and find this. And I did that. He's like, okay, go here and find this. Did that. He's like, you're getting through these way faster than I thought you would. I go, I did beat the first game.
Right.
It was not easy either.
That's the thing, is I imagine the first one's pretty tough too.
The first one, near the end of the game, right before the final boss, you fight the first form of the final boss. And if you haven't put together an incredibly esoteric puzzle that allows you to drink the elixir of knowledge, when the final boss's true form is revealed, you go blind, like you black out from the visual and wake up back at the entrance of the dungeon, because the final boss is the root of all life on Earth, and if you haven't drank the thing that lets you comprehend it, you can't, and it kicks you back out.
Wow, that's intense.
That's the kind of game this is.
I believe it. So
I get up to the boss, and the boss, it's like in this go-kart speeder thing, because dude, it's so weird.
I'm on board.
I hadn't got the key that let my own go-kart start going. So it fell down and crushed me. I'm like, what? And Brent goes, I tried to warn you, but you said dial it in. That's a lot of information. So I did, and now you're dead. Okay, cool. I'm going to put this on pause for tonight, because I'm tired. I beat the boss this morning, and I'm still chugging away. That was an early PAX announcement that got me a little steamed. The developer said, hey, we're going to have a big announcement. And it had been leaked before it was coming to Xbox One. In spring, it's coming to all the consoles. That makes me steamed, because we didn't meet that stretch goal 4 years ago. This had to have been a conversation prior to the release of the game.
Right.
And we were not getting. I would have been fine waiting till April to play this on PS4.
Yeah.
I hate playing games on my PC.
Okay.
When I booted up La Milana 2, first off, to anybody who doesn't know, I have a Surface Book, like the original one, first one, with a dedicated graphics processing unit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I asked other frequent contributor to the show, Jake, I go, can I borrow one of your many PCs? Because this doesn't run on my laptop.
Right.
It should. You have this thing in it. I go, I don't know why it isn't. Turns out, unless you set it up to default to the dedicated GPU, it will still go with the internal GPU.
Gotcha.
Won't have these problems. So
laptops.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, well, however much it would cost me to get a PC to play this one game,
Not worth it.
Not worth it.
Yeah.
The only other game that I will be buying anytime soon will be Honey Pop 2, and they had their own. They included a certain character. I don't think I actually mentioned this news when I streamed with Chris Arms, because there are people who are like, I don't want to have to sleep with a dude to do this. And then the other side was like, I can't believe you're thinking about taking out the girl who's a dude. And so it was amazing. He was making the left side of the people and the right side both mad, because he's like,
that's the goal.
He nailed it.
Yeah,
because he's like, I don't understand why people are upset, because I thought everybody who liked watching this kind of cartoon stuff was into this. No, dude, quit talking. And other people were like, well, is it a fuda or is it a trap? And he's like, I don't know the difference. So I'm like, dude, you need to stop talking.
This guy's killing it. I love it.
Oh my
Savage.
God. So anyways, I feel like, so I wouldn't have played La Milana 2 on here had I known it.
Yeah.
Don't think Honey Pop is going to come to PS4. So if I do end up getting it, anyways. But past that, after La Milana 2, I'm debating picking up something else, because that's a game that can get real frustrating. So I'm debating. I have Alundra, which is a PS1 game that I picked up because I heard it was like a Zelda homage thing. Real curious about that. And I also have Darksiders 2, because I got that game for free, and I picked up the first one for $2.
Woo!
Not sure it was worth the $2. It would have been great if we would have been in like college or high school.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Right.
Like the game opens with meteors raining down on New York City and a horde of demons coming through, and you step out of one of the meteors with your giant sword. And I'm like, 19-year-old Josh would have ate this up.
When did this game come out? The first one?
When I was 19.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, because that's the thing. I guess it's a sign of the times at that moment in time.
Yeah. So we'll see. I have one person telling me that Darksiders 2 is a market improvement over the first one. Another person saying it's basically the first one again. I'm going to give it a shot if I'm still not feeling it because it's supposed to be short, like 20-ish hours. If I'm still not feeling it, my time with Darksiders is over.
That's fair.
But I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to buy too. So, the curse of adulting.
I understand.
But I think we're about ready to wrap it up. What do you think?
Sounds pretty good to me.
Fantastic. Well, Alex, thank you very much for joining me on this Random Thoughts.
Thank you.
And until next time, this has been Co-Opinions.